while back, we went ahead and mounted the engine right there into the chassis. The issue is I originally was thinking about doing it one way with the torque tube, but can't. So we've had to modify things and adjust. Now, with that, we've also had to make a couple of changes otherwise. And let me show you what I'm talking about. I made these engine mounts with the idea to adjust them. They can go left, right, up, down, in, and out. I did all this because I wasn't sure on how the engine itself was going to sit in the engine bay. I've also made it to where I could tilt the engine up on axis, and that allowed me the opportunity to get all of my driveline stuff way down there figured out. And what I mean by figured out is I need to get everything exactly in the spot that I wanted at for my new subframe. Originally, I talked about reusing the factory subframe. I had a really good opportunity to go with a tubular subframe that'll give me some more spacing for my exhaust routing, which we've talked about in a previous video on how tight everything is on the driver's side with the steering rack.
And here is the tubular front subframe from the guys at TSS Fab. They specialize in off-road and rally builds for Subarus. The lovely thing about this assembly is it will increase my overall space to route my exhaust. It will also allow me the opportunity to increase my rigidity of the front end and add some lightness to it as well. So let's get it installed.
Going to take me to the fact I now need engine mounts, which I have, but I haven't made yet. Let me show you.
And these are my new engine mounts. They're made out of 1/4 inch thick steel. They will utilize a custom 1.5 inch polyurethane bushing and should keep everything nice and tidy in a compact package that will allow me even more space for mounting my exhaust. So let's get them welded up and installed.
while back I talked about the inability for me to be able to use the torque tube assembly like I originally wanted to. Now with that, a conventional system, you would have your engine on the front, then you would bolt to the transmission, and then that would have a transmission mount and then your 2 engine mounts, okay? I don't currently have that. I would just have 2 engine mounts, and then the engine would be tilting on its own just naturally. So I have to create a transmission mount. And let's go ahead and talk about the struggles that I've had with that in my actual game plan. Here's where we sit with the current transmission mount discussion. This is the factory Corvette design. Okay, bearing rides inside. There's a little O-ring that sits in here that helps center it, isolate everything. Now, I went through, I designed this, looks great, right? Except this doesn't work. This one's junk because it doesn't have enough depth here to work out the way I need it to. I then changed to this design. Great, except for one major thing. I can't mount this. I don't have a way to mount this to support the backside of the engine we're moving. So then I went back to a different design using the Corvette's aluminum tube. You look way down there. You can see I've got that whole bearing design load and whatnot. And originally I was going to do something like this. Now here's the problem. That part, made in CAD, cut with aluminum, CNC'd and all that stuff is going to cost me about $2,500. I can't make a mistake if I spend that much money on this. So I'm going to do something entirely different. I'm going to take the factory Maserati torque tube assembly and I'm going to cut it up. And I'm going to use parts off of that, mainly the outer housing and shell and whatnot, and then make a plug that fits into that scenario so I can then turn around and have the bearing pressed in and all the other stuff for a fraction of the cost and somewhat repeatable, and actually bring some weight back into the equation. As I've previously talked about, is one of my big struggles of trying to find weight to add in that makes sense. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to cut apart the Maserati transaxle assembly, and we're going to start making some parts. Now here you can see that torque tube assembly that I'd cut up. I dropped this off at the machine shop and they honed it out to where I could press in that plug that I mentioned. We're going to take this guy and we're going to place it up there where the clutch housing is. We're going to bolt it together and then we're going to show you how important all of my measurements have been. So now that we got the factory Toyota engine mount in, you can see it's not really touching right now, and that's because I've got the polyurethane bushings in there, but it was done to where this would sit exactly flush here. So what I'm going to do to prevent this from tilting and twisting as the engine goes over bumps and everything is to use an aftermarket option. And this right here is my response to that. I'm going to remove this factory piece where this all flexes on, and I'm going to replace it with this piece right here. Notice it's significantly larger. And in the process of doing that, I'm also going to put in this bushing in here, which will further isolate all of this stuff from flexing and twisting and vibrating and the flip of the engine as it's going down the road. So let's get those installed. So we've got the holes drilled in the Maserati torque tube. We've got that section bolted back into the car. And I'm gonna show you using these guys, these little T-brackets, what do you wanna call them, with the bolts in there, on how I'm gonna use the Toyota Subaru transmission mount and utilize that assembly to work with my Maserati torque tube assembly. So let's show you what I'm talking about. So the holes, as you guys can see, are right there. I'm gonna take one of these guys, gonna drop right in like so, and then the factory assembly from Toyota is gonna go right in there like so, and I'll bolt this thing together, torque to spec, and I'll show you how it works. There it is. As you guys can see, this thing is not moving. It's all torqued to spec. It works perfect. You guys can see also in there, plenty of space for the drive shaft to sit through. The engine is in its final resting place for the second time. Actually, for the final time this time. I'm not moving this thing around. Been a long time coming. Next major steps are, of course, the rear subframe. I've been working on that in the background. I've got a long way to go with that whole side of the project. I appreciate everything you guys do, the continued support, comments, messages, and all that stuff, just checking on to see how things are going. With all of that, you know what to do. If you want to see more content, I'm not going to say it because we don't like to hear those words. But as always, please stay safe.